Hey everybody, welcome back to Golf Testimony, the channel where I use my game to help your game. Today, if you watched my previous video where I was explaining kind of some of the components of my little Frankenstein experiment, this is going to be an elaboration on the first of the points that I laid out in that video. Let's get to it. Hey, before we get started with this video, I want to take a second. If you remember this, my Pro X7 Best Budget Rangefinder review from a few months back, you'll also remember that a couple of people said on that in the comment section that through Amazon.com, that rangefinder was no longer available. After watching that video, this guy, Chris Palermo, messaged me and he said, hey, I sell LaserWorks products. I've got it in stock. If you guys need this rangefinder, call Chris, text Chris, go to his Facebook page and order it from him. The first thing that I talked about was the number one thing that I felt was the biggest disease for amateur golfers, average golfers like myself and like all of you out there watching. Number one, I want to eliminate mechanical thoughts over the golf ball. Now let me explain a little bit about what I mean, because if you watch any of these YouTube instructors, if you watch any of the videos, if you read any of the magazines, the TV shows where they talk about improvement, what are they discussing? They're discussing mechanics. They're talking about mechanics. It's all mechanics. Every bit of how the golf swing works and how the club should move, how the body should move. So you might ask yourself the question, how exactly am I supposed to eliminate mechanics from the golf swing when the only thing that anybody's willing to teach me is mechanics? That is an excellent question. And what I mean is this, and again, I'm not a professional golf coach. I'm not a highly skilled player. You're looking at a slightly above average golfer who is trying to figure some things out for himself, and in the course of doing so, hopefully help some of you out there as well. So take what I say with a grain of salt, okay? But basically what I'm referring to is just specifically when it's time to stand over your golf ball and hit a shot. You can't be thinking about positions and mechanics. You can't do that. It's okay maybe for some people to have one sort of, make sure you get a full shoulder turn. It's okay to have that one thought for some people, but for others, if you want the best level of performance, I think you've got to unlock your subconscious and let that dog out of the fence. Now, of course, if we're talking about, practice and like what I'm doing out here in the garage, trying to groove certain things or change positions, of course, in here, I'm working on mechanics. I'm working on maybe making some changes to positions of where I am at the top, where I am at impact, how I'm addressing the golf ball. Sure, there are going to be mechanics involved in that, but that's meant for the practice range. That's meant for practicing at home, on your simulator, at the driving range, or just out in some random field at a park somewhere. Practice is all about trying to ingrain those things. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, that sounds great in theory, but how exactly am I supposed to pull that off in reality? Genius. That's a great question. And it's something that I'm working on. I'm trying to be disciplined about it. It may be the kind of thing where you just have to really buckle down and make it a real focus of yours to try and eliminate that from your routine, from what you do on the golf course. It may be the kind of thing where you have to completely change the way you go about playing golf. It just depends on what your particular starting position is. How close are you to being brainless on the golf course and just firing away? If you're really close, then maybe you just kind of need to tweak it a little bit. Maybe you just need to put a little bit of focus into trying to make sure that you don't get too mechanical on the golf course. But for other people, especially like me, when I'm going through and trying out all these different swing techniques and methods and I'm constantly changing, I'm changing my mechanics all the time. I'm changing how my body works. I'm changing how it functions. I'm changing the timing. Your swing may not even look any different on camera. A lot of times I feel like when I record myself, I'm like, that's got to be way different. It has to look way different. But then when I watch it get played back on video, I think it's exactly the same as every other swing I've ever made. In all of these reviews, the only one that I've seen where I saw a visible, noticeable difference that was like, it stood out like black and white to me, was the Jim Venetos review. When I did that, of course, my swing looked completely different than any other swing. But when you go back and forth between Zen and right-sided swing, the differences become more subtle. And when they're more subtle, you don't pick up on them and you think, wow, I thought I was doing something totally different. and my swing looks almost exactly identical to what it was before I made the changes. Some of the changes that you make in your swing are not necessarily something that's going to be able to be seen by the naked eye. It may happen so fast or be so subtle that you don't see it. It could be that some other technique or different mechanic or something that you're using, maybe it just changes the timing. And instead of your right shoulder firing in relation to the club head, you lost 0.03 seconds of time, or something so subtle like that. But when you're talking about trying to hit a golf ball on the sweet spot of a golf club, which is about a 1/16 to an eighth of an inch wide and tall, you're talking about a game of millimeters. Everybody talks about golf being a game of inches. No, it is a game of fractions of millimeters, honestly. And it's not just in space, but it's also in time. Timing is just so crucial. And I had somebody make a comment on my video, a video a while back that said the same thing, that good timing and tempo can cover up a lot of swing faults. And that is very true. Have you ever been driving your car down the road and you get lost in a train of thought? Your brain goes off somewhere. You're thinking about, I don't know, some pizza place you used to visit, or you're thinking about how your day at work went yesterday, but you get lost so deep in thought. And then all of a sudden, you snap back to reality, and you're behind the wheel of your car again, and you're 7 or 8 miles down the road, and you don't remember how you got there. That's not a senior moment. That's your subconscious mind being allowed to do what it does. It knows how to drive that car. It knows how to react to the changing in traffic in front of it, and the curves and the turns and the pitches and the rolls in the road, and seeing signs. Your brain even will read signs and know what's coming up. It'll see all of the cars that are around you moving, and your body will just take care of it. Your subconscious mind is so well trained and knows exactly what it's doing, and it can process information so much quicker and much more accurate than you give it credit for. Trying to think about, okay, turn my hand 3 degrees for 3.4 seconds, and then gently ease it back at a rate of 6 microns per 1,000 feet. If you try to do that, you're going to crash the car. When you step back behind the ball and you're assessing your target, you're thinking about, okay, where's my target? Where do I want to land this golf ball? How far is it? What's my lie look like? What shape is this shot going to have coming in? All of those things, those are conscious decisions. And even when you go to set up over the ball and you're putting it, let's say, in the middle of your stance. Okay, ball in the middle of my stance. Take my grip, check my club face, make sure it's square. I'm going to line up to the target. All of that is conscious. All of that is fine to be conscious in your mind and to think about on that level, and to think about methodically and mechanically. That is left brain. That is left brain thinking. It's analytical, it's practical. It thinks everything through, and it makes good, sound decisions. But when it's time to actually pull the trigger and hit the golf ball, you should switch to your subconscious, your right brain, your athletic brain, the one that doesn't think in terms that our conscious mind can understand. It simply processes information faster than you could possibly imagine. And it just knows exactly what to do, and it can feel changes and adjust dynamically in that split second or that 1 second of time. It can adjust using your fast twitch muscles, your bone structure, your weight. It can do whatever it needs to do to work its way back to make contact with the golf ball. But if you stand over it and your conscious mind interferes with that process, it tries to inject itself, you're going to have issues. So then what should happen? Here's kind of the way I look at it. Think about an army that's on the battlefield. There's a general. The general thinks through the situation, eyes the battlefield, sees where the strengths, the weaknesses are. They're basically assessing the shot in front of them. They're figuring it all out, and they're trying to come up with the best course of action possible and what units should go where and what their assignment should be. From there, the general then gives the orders and says, you're going to go here, you're going to go here, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. But he doesn't tell them how to do it. He tells them what to do. He gives them the assignment, and then he stays back on his horse on the field and lets them go execute the plan. Manuel de la Torre talked about this a lot. He said that his dad taught him, You can teach someone, you can tell somebody what to do, but you can't tell them how to do it. If I tell you to brush your teeth, I'm telling you what to do. But if I tell you how to brush your teeth and go about it, you're not going to be very good at it. You're not going to be very efficient. It's going to frustrate the situation. I'm constantly going to be injecting myself in to try and correct whatever I see that doesn't line up with what I think it ought to be. Same goes with the general and the soldiers on the battlefield. You give the orders, you think through them, you come up with the formulated plan that is well thought out and that you believe will lead you to victory. You give the commands and then you step away. And then you trust the fact that you have good soldiers and that you have smart people out there that are going to carry out the plans the best way they see fit and the way they know how without you being involved in the process any further than you already are. The soldier, the employee, that's the subconscious mind. Once you give the command and you've determined and you've committed to your course of action, you just simply have to pull the trigger and at that point be nothing more than an athlete. And the best way to eliminate mechanical thought, as I said, is to program it out here to have mechanical thoughts in maybe positions that you want to hit when you're practicing and then try to groove that. And you're probably not going to get the best shot results most of the time, but just you can think about mechanics here and you can hit checkpoints and think about things like that. And then, just work on grooving those mechanics and learning those new positions here. But when you get on the golf course, it's time, once you've determined the shot and the club and how you're going to play and you're set up, once you're set up, you almost need a way to have that changing of the guard, almost like a tag team wrestling match. The first wrestler is the general, right? The general comes in, and the general is going to figure out tactics and shots, and I'm going to do this, it's going to go that way, I need this club, I'm going to set up like this, and I'm going to make sure I'm aligned and that my weight is correct, and I'm going to get a little bit relaxed and put my body in a position to where it can strike, and then tag, you're it. And at this point in comes the soldier. The general tags in the soldier. Time to go execute the orders. Tag, you're it. You can even maybe hear a slap in your head if you want to do that, but the general tags in the soldier, and now, as soon as it's time to pull the trigger, it's the soldier's turn. There's zero thought, there's only action. That's it. Might be good, might be bad. If more shots turn out bad than good, ask yourself why. Was it because maybe you had poor strategies? Was it because maybe you chose the wrong club on a lot of things? Was it maybe because you were set up incorrectly or you misjudged the elements? Or was it because your soldier is just not very good at being a soldier? Maybe your soldier needs a little bit more training. And that's where you work on that. You work on making a good soldier here. But when you get out on the golf course, it's time to let that soldier go to work. Give the order, give the command, and trust that what you've trained that soldier to do, he will do. I'm going to continue to work out here in the garage on my soldier. I also need to help my general along as well. I need to help him make better decisions and judge the conditions correctly and make better club selection choices and give better orders. But out here, when I'm practicing, when I go to the range, I need to work on making a better soldier. But once you get on the course, general commands, soldier executes. That's it. Guys, if you've enjoyed this video, if it's given you any kind of insight and perspective at all, maybe it made you really glad that you watched it. Maybe it really made you upset because you're like, this guy don't know what he's talking about. Either way, leave me some comments down below. I appreciate all the support I get from everybody. Be sure to click thumbs up. It really helps me in the algorithm. This channel is rocking. We're moving forward. We're growing. I'm trying to find my way. I'm trying to help you find your way. Help me to help you make a better product by clicking thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification so you don't miss anything. And be watching for number 2 in this series where I talk about the second part of what I'm trying to include into this swing that I'm building. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.